This week on Alan's Antics, it seems that the UK police are already aware of a new carjacking tactic that's being employed by criminals. My advice to you is use common sense, think of your own safety first. Infant car seat on the side of the road with a blanket draped over it. Note that the location of this car seat is usually beside a wooded or grassy fielded area, and the person or woman will be dragged into the woods, beaten and raped, and usually left for dead. Do not stop for any reason. Dial 999 and report what you saw, but don't even slow down. If you're driving at night and eggs are thrown at your windscreen, do not stop to check the car, do not operate the wiper, and do not spray any water, because eggs mixed with water become milky and block your vision up to 92.5%. The group Squeeze trolled the Prime Minister on the BBC. They changed the last verse of their new track to reflect the fact that David Cameron was sat just a few feet away on the Marshow couch. This is what they said. I grew up in council houses, part of what made Britain great, but there's some here who are hell-bent on the destruction of the welfare state. Well done, that lady and gentleman, I say. From freenations.net by Rodney Atkinson. The Battle of Cologne Station. Another gift from Merkel the moron. Having invited hordes of unchecked Middle East and African migrants into Europe with no word of approval from Germans, Europeans or their elected representatives, Merkel aided the Paris terrorists, one of whom boasted at the ease of which he could come and go across Merkel's destroyed borders. Now the true extent of the disaster is being brought home to those unconsulted Germans. There were pitched battles between migrants and police who sought to protect Germans at Cologne Station on New Year's Eve. Women were being attacked, hit, prodded, sexually abused. They were forced, in the words of the police, to run the gauntlet of sexually and verbally abusive migrant men. From Breitbart.com. Farage for Breitbart. Pan-European migrant rape story response highlights the continent's unconditional surrender. Quoting Nigel Farage, events in Cologne are very shocking to people unless, like me, you've spent the last 17 years spending part of your time working in Brussels. The women there are sadly now molested regularly in certain districts. My assistant in the European Parliament has been called a bitch and told to cover up on multiple occasions, and these are not isolated incidents. Ultimately, this whole question of border controls, identity and security are issues on which the referendum will be determined. We're at a crossroads as a country and a continent. For the good of our people and our nation, we must leave the European Union and start standing up for our Judeo-Christian heritage. Hurrah for Peter Bone! At last, somebody has broken the deadlock. Entrenched camps and negative briefings to newspapers and commentators by some people who are supposedly on our side has not been helping the Leave campaign, but an initiative spearheaded by Peter Bone under the name GO, Grassroots Out, has really sparked some positive activity. So energetic has Mr. Bone been that he has even invited the Prime Minister to join the organisation in the House of Commons. Not much chance of success there. But Mr. Bone has signed up the youngest Tory MP in the country, Tom Pursglove, Kettering MP Philip Hollowbone and Kate Hoy, the Labour MP for Vauxhall. We will all be sharing the stage at an event in Kettering on January the 23rd, 2016, chaired by UKIP MEP Margot Parker. It is the first of a big series of genuine cross-party events that will take place. Peter Bone tells me that he's had a very positive reaction in the House of Commons tea room. I have a feeling that this might just take off. Nigel Farage, MEP, leader of the UK Independence Party. This summer, Britain will vote on whether to remain in the European Union. The sceptic camp appears to be gaining ground, and EU leaders are growing concerned. They've developed a plan to give in to most of Cameron's EU reform demands. The victor in this game has already been determined. On February the 19th in Brussels, David Cameron will prevail with all his most important demands. The British Prime Minister, to be sure, will be standing alone at the summit, faced with opposition from his 27 EU counterparts. But in the end, following tough negotiations, he will get his way. Outrage as gag ministers are warned. Any anti-EU speeches and you're fired. Ministers have been told not to undermine the negotiations on a new EU deal. The Prime Minister sent a letter to every member of the government, setting out strict limits on their freedom to speak out on Britain's European future in the run-up to his in or out referendum. He also announced that frontbenchers will be banned from making parliamentary speeches in favour of an EU exit throughout the forthcoming referendum campaign. From leave.eu, in our first newsletter of the year, we'd like to offer a heartfelt thank you for helping raise awareness for our campaign last year, and we wish you a happy and prosperous new year. Leave.eu begins 2016, a potentially historic year for the United Kingdom with fantastic momentum. Our final thought is on Mr Cameron's fudged renegotiation. We must remember there are 101 items not even on the agenda throughout the prolonged charade, and the extent to which the United Kingdom can prosper as it detaches itself from political union with Europe. We start 2016 as we mean to go on, well equipped and 100% dedicated to ensuring that this year is a memorable one for leave.eu, and more importantly, for the United Kingdom. Happy New Year, the leave.eu team. You know, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Free thinking is considered a mental illness. Well, at least it is now. The Soviet Union used new mental illnesses for political repression. People who didn't accept the beliefs of the Communist Party developed a new type of schizophrenia. They suffered from the delusion of believing communism was wrong. They were isolated, forcefully medicated, and put through repressive therapy to bring them back to sanity. Labeling free thinking and non-conformity as a mental illness has a lot of potential for abuse. As a weapon in the arsenal for a repressive state, it seems societal reality is morphing into a playbook for autocrats borrowed from a Philip K. Dick novel. That means I'm completely insane. That means I'm mad because I go against authority and I don't think the government's right and they're coming to take me away. Ha ha hee hee ha ha. It's the funny forum where life is happy all the time. Well, that was just a little snapshot of the week on Alan's Antics on RadioFreeUK.org. To hear the full recordings and a whole lot more, go to RadioFreeUK.org. And there'll be more next week. Take care and have a safe one.